This tape was never meant to be heard. One of 5, sent by someone who disappeared the day after I got it. What you're about to hear will change what you think you know about President Bill Clinton and about who really runs the United States. This isn't in the history books. This is from the shadows. This tape wasn't supposed to exist. It arrived on a Tuesday. No return address. No note. Just a plain cardboard box sitting on my doorstep. Inside, 5 cassette tapes, each labeled with a number. No explanation. No markings. Just one word written on the inside of the box flap in red ink. Listen. I've been a journalist for 20 years. I've heard hoaxes. I've chased conspiracies. I've uncovered some ugly truths. But nothing like this. Tape 1 was already inserted into an old, dusty cassette recorder that came with the box. I pressed play. At first, just static. Then a voice, recognizable, tired, and unmistakably presidential. Bill Clinton. This recording is not for the public, the voice said. If you're hearing this, I failed. He sounded alone. No advisors. No aides. Just him, talking into the void. I keep hearing the name Omega, he said. They say not to ask. They say it's above my clearance. But I'm the President of the United States, and I don't know who's actually in charge. Silence. A pause, heavy with fear. I signed documents I wasn't allowed to read. I approved missions I wasn't briefed on. There's something underneath Washington, something older than the government. I don't know if it's human. Then the tape glitched. A low hum crawled into the background. It wasn't interference. It felt intentional. Clinton's voice returned, weaker. If this tape gets out, it means I've disappeared or worse. But the people deserve to know. There's something wrong at the core of this country. Something none of us voted for. And if they find this recording, they'll try to erase it. Like they erased the others. Like they erased Omega. Then the tape stopped. No click. No rewind. Just dead silence. I checked the date on the label. November 17th, 1995. There are no records of a meeting that day. No public schedule. Nothing in the archives. And yet here it was. 5 tapes. 1 down. 4 to go. Who sent them? Why now? And what happened in 1995 that the world wasn't supposed to hear? Next, tape 2. The one where the name Omega isn't just mentioned, it's whispered like a curse. I didn't sleep that night. After listening to the first tape, I kept playing it back, searching for anything I might have missed. A background noise, a code, a name. One word kept echoing in my mind, Omega. The second tape didn't look any different from the first. Same label, same cheap cassette plastic, same worn handwriting. But the moment I pressed play, I knew this one wasn't just a confession. It was a warning. Clinton's voice returned, quieter this time. Not nervous, resigned. They told me to never say his name. But after what I saw, I have to record this, even if no one ever hears it. He took a long breath. Omega is not a person. He's an operation. A man wrapped inside a file. No photos. No birth certificate. No official rank. But he's in every room where it matters. I met him once. Briefly. 1994. He didn't give me his name. Just a phrase. You're not the one in charge. I paused the tape. That sentence, it wasn't just paranoia. It was structure. Strategy. I opened old declassified records, poked around Cold War ghost files, CIA ops that were never acknowledged. Nothing. No Omega. Then I stumbled on a single anomaly. A man named Elias V. Crane, a national security advisor who was appointed in mid-1995 and disappeared 3 months later. No obituary. No resignation. Just vanished. His photo had been removed from official archives. But I found one grainy image in a newspaper microfilm. A man in a dark trench coat, standing behind Clinton during a state visit to Moscow. Eyes obscured. No visible insignia. Just standing there. Watching. I resumed the tape. Clinton continued. Crane wasn't his real name. That's just the alias they used on paper. When I asked where he came from, Leon Panetta looked me in the eye and said, "He comes with the chair." I didn't understand what that meant. Not then. The tape cracked again, like it had been recorded over several times. New audio spliced in, a low-frequency hum, almost imperceptible unless you're wearing headphones. Underneath, a whisper, a looping message. He's in the mirror. Clinton's voice returned once more, this time more urgent. I found a document in the Situation Room, one that wasn't supposed to be there, dated 1963, signed by Kennedy. It mentioned Operation Omega. Back then, it was a surveillance program targeting psychic phenomena. Yes, really. ESP, precognition, remote viewing. But the signatures changed after 1968. It stopped being surveillance. It became recruitment. At this point, the background noise intensified. There was something strange about the rhythm. It wasn't just static. It sounded like breathing. Slow. Deliberate. Clinton said one final thing before the tape ended. If Omega is still active, then everything we've done since 1993 is a distraction. They built the presidency around the program, not the other way around. Then came the part that chilled me. A second voice spoke. Not Clinton. Not anyone I could identify. It said, in a voice barely above a whisper, Tape 3 reveals the coordinates. You've already started listening. Now you can't stop. The tape popped, ejected itself. I stared at it, then at the third cassette, still untouched. Was this all performance? A disinformation campaign? But who would go this far and why? I should have stopped. I didn't. Tape 3 waits. Inside it, coordinates buried in a speech the world already heard, and a place no one was ever supposed to find. By the time I inserted tape 3, I'd already lost 2 nights of sleep and a sense of control I didn't realize I'd been clinging to. I'd started this journey out of curiosity, maybe even boredom, but now I felt like something was following me. Not physically, conceptually, as if I was being observed by a presence built into the very tapes themselves. Tape 3 was different. There was no introduction, no greeting, just Bill Clinton's voice, mid-sentence, from what sounded like a public speech. Crowd noise in the background. Applause. It didn't make sense. This was supposed to be a private archive. Why was a public address recorded here? Then I realized it wasn't the speech itself. It was what came after. Clinton's voice slowed slightly, just enough to feel unnatural. Then it picked up again, paused, sped up, slowed. The cadence was off, the rhythm erratic. A Morse code expert might have dismissed it, but someone trained in audio encryption patterns would recognize what I heard. Deliberate variation, a signal buried inside the speech. I isolated the audio. Clinton's words, when taken at specific intervals, formed a sentence that was not part of the original transcript. A message embedded in time. Latitude 38.9072. Longitude -77.0369. Beneath the reflecting pool. Washington, D.C. The coordinates pointed to the National Mall, specifically, the reflecting pool, between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument. I thought it was symbolic at first. Another trick. Another metaphor. But when I searched historical blueprints of the mall, I found something alarming. A forgotten structure beneath the pool. A Cold War-era emergency communications bunker, sealed off since 1981. Not publicly listed. Not on maps. Not acknowledged. I packed my bag and drove through the night. When I arrived, the mall was quiet. Tourists were gone. Fog rolled across the water, thick and low. I walked the perimeter for nearly an hour before I saw it. A rectangular stone slab, slightly raised, maybe 3 meters off the edge of the water. It didn't look like much. Just a flat surface with a faint inscription. Operation Continuity, authorized access only. There was no door, no hatch, but when I ran my fingers along the edge, I found a metal seam, thin, almost imperceptible. Then, a soft mechanical click. The slab shifted. Beneath it, a narrow stairwell, concrete and damp. No lights, no sound, just a staircase descending into silence. I hesitated. Then Clinton's voice echoed again in my head. They built the presidency around the program, not the other way around. I descended. 15 steps down, I found the first door. Steel. Unmarked. It was already slightly ajar. Inside, a single room. Bare walls. Old equipment. Dust-covered monitors. A reel-to-reel machine still humming, power running somehow. And on the desk, a binder, weathered, stamped with one word, Omega. I opened it. Inside were transcripts, not just of speeches, but thoughts. Clinton's private reflections, recorded word for word, without a mic, without notes. Just pages filled with sentences he'd only thought, not said aloud. And there, at the bottom of the last page, coordinates again. But this time, they weren't in Washington. They were in the Nevada desert. And a single handwritten note. Tape 4 will explain what they showed me. I returned home with the binder in my bag. I hadn't even begun to process what I'd found. I didn't know who they were, or how thoughts had been recorded in a room buried under a city. But one thing was clear. The tapes weren't just confessions. They were a map, a layer design, a buried transmission from a government beneath the government. Tape 4 was next, and whatever it contained, Clinton had tried to erase it. When I returned from Washington, something was different. Not just in my mind, but in the world around me. My apartment felt colder. My phone rang once at 3:33 a.m., then stopped. When I checked the call log, there was no record of it. Still, I couldn't stop. I took out tape 4. Its label was smeared, as if it had been half-burned and extinguished. The number 4 barely visible beneath the melted plastic. The moment I inserted it, I felt something off. The tape worked slower than the others. It sounded fatigued, like it didn't want to play. And then it began. Clinton's voice was there, but not like before. He wasn't alone this time. The audio began with overlapping noises, distant typing, shuffling papers, then a single door closing, then silence, then a voice, not Clinton's. A known male voice. "Mr. President, you're not here officially." Clinton responded, voice measured. "I know. That's the point." Then another voice joined, female, robotic in cadence. Unnatural. Unknown female voice. Timestamp confirmed. Frequency stabilized. "You may proceed." There was a long pause. Clinton spoke again, this time quieter. "I want this meeting off the books. No transcripts. No names." The female voice replied, "There will be no memory. Not for them. Not for you." That was when I heard something that chilled me to my bones. Clinton's breathing changed. It was no longer calm or steady. It quickened, panicked. He whispered, "You said this would be brief. Who are they?" There was no answer. Then 4 more voices entered the recording. Not in words, in tones. Harmonics. Notes layered over each other, like a broken choir. My speakers began to vibrate. My ears rang. And then Clinton screamed. Not loud. Not wild. Just a sharp, guttural panic. Like someone realizing they were no longer in control of their own body. Then came the words I'll never forget, in Clinton's voice, but distorted, as if spoken through him. "They are not human. They are not gods. They are the original architects." Static erupted. When the recording returned, Clinton was breathing heavily, his voice a hoarse whisper. "I didn't agree to this," he said. "You said I'd still be me." The robotic voice answered, "You were chosen, not asked. The vessel has spoken." Then the audio stuttered, looped over itself 3 times, before abruptly stopping. No click. No wind down. Just a hard, mechanical stop. I pulled the tape out. The cassette felt warm. I didn't know what to do. Part of me believed I was listening to an elaborate hoax, a deepfake project, maybe a deranged artist's underground ARG. But the voice was too real. The panic too raw. The timing too perfect. I checked Clinton's schedule again for that date. July 13th, 1996. No record of a meeting. No entry. A blank spot on the presidential calendar. One single note scribbled in the margin of an internal memo. XO4. No further logs permitted. I thought that was it. The climax. The 4th tape had to be the peak of it all. But then I looked at tape 5. Its reel was cracked. The tape inside looked warped. But it still played. And Clinton's first words? "If you're hearing this, I'm already gone." The 5th tape was cracked. Its casing was split down the spine, as if someone had tried to snap it in half, but couldn't bring themselves to finish the job. I considered not playing it. I'd already gone too far, seen too much. The binder. The bunker. the voices that didn't belong to any human language. But the final tape was calling. Its label was almost unreadable. Just 2 digits. 03. No context. No date. No location. I pushed it in. The deck groaned, as if rejecting it. But then the reels began to spin. At first, nothing. Just silence. Then Clinton's voice. But it wasn't the voice of a sitting president. It was frail, fading, like a dying man speaking to a machine in the dark. If you're hearing this, I'm already gone. I don't mean dead. I mean removed, scrubbed. I may still be out there, giving speeches, walking on stage, but that isn't me anymore. That's what they left behind. What you've heard so far, those tapes, they weren't recordings. They were recoveries, fragments, what little I could salvage after I was brought back. Brought back from where, you ask? From under. I felt my spine lock. Clinton continued. There's a system beneath everything. Government, economy, military, it's all theater. The real system is older than the presidency, older than America, maybe even older than time. I first encountered it in a briefing that didn't exist. Location, Groom Lake, Nevada. You'd know it as Area 51, but that's not what it's for. The base isn't a storage site. It's a listening post, a gateway, built to observe what they called the oscillation, a thinning of reality itself. Inside the facility, there's a room they don't let humans enter. They call it the well. It's not man-made. It was found, dug out in 1947 after the incident they blamed on weather balloons. I was shown the well. They made me look inside. I paused the tape. My hands were shaking. Every instinct in me screamed to stop, but I pressed play again. It wasn't light in the well. It wasn't darkness either. It was memory. Layered, writhing memory. Not mine. Not human. Something far deeper. Collective. Primal. And when I looked in, I saw myself. Every version. Every lie. Every mistake. Monica. Somalia. Kosovo. But not as I remembered. As they remembered. They told me I was the last to resist. That every president since Truman had been shown the same thing. Some ran. Some broke. Some obeyed. I tried to forget. That's what the tapes were for. Not to confess. Not to warn. To contain. Then the static returned. But it wasn't ordinary static, it was layered. Like thousands of voices whispering through wires. Buried in the sound was a number. Repeating over and over. 22. 22. 22. I checked the Clinton Presidential Library. Document 22 in the classified vault. A memo titled Containment Continuity Protocol. Last accessed in 2003. By Clinton himself. That was the year he was last seen in public without security, without staff, without the mask of performance. After that, something changed. People noted it. The jokes. The sudden shift in posture. The interviews that felt rehearsed. Distant. Off. The tape clicked again. Clinton's final words were distorted, almost unintelligible. If they find you, play this backwards. It's the only thing they can't track. They see in timelines, not directions. Reverse is resistance. You've listened. You know too much. You're part of it now. They don't want to kill you. They want to archive you. Then came one final message, barely audible. Not Clinton. A new voice. You are tape 6. The tape popped. Silence. I sat there for a long time. I didn't sleep. I didn't speak. I unplugged my internet. I threw away my phone. But even now I hear the hum. In walls. In wires. In dreams. They didn't want the world to know. But you've heard it. And now, like me, you can't unhear it. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe and press the like button.